And blustery at times near Atlantic and southern coasts. And now you're up to date on News Talk.
Off the ball.
Thanks to Screwfix.ie, championing the trade with a dedicated call centre.
This is News Talk.
Hello, you're very welcome along to Wednesday evening's Off the Ball. Busy show for you this evening. Arsenal legend Alan Smith on the Football Show talking about his new book. We have fresh League of Ireland winning manager Stephen Kenny, his fourth in 5 years after Friday night. Matt Williams and the Irish Independent's Rory O'Connor ahead of the Champions Cup opening weekend. We'll also talk to Connacht CEO Willie Ruane about the new redevelopment at the Sports Ground. 53106, the text number. We're at Off the Ball on Twitter. Ronan is here. Johnny Ward is here. Richie McCormack is here.
Well,
you're pleased to see the redevelopment of the Sports Ground as a proud Galway man, I presume?
Yeah, it badly needs it, you know. I have only visited a couple of times, once or twice for the dogs, and I went to my first rugby game there last season, and it's such a great location, you know. It's literally, you just come into the town and you just walk out there, and I think there's so much to be said for that. I was in the Rico Arena there last week, and it's nowhere near anywhere like.
Because they looked at different locations. They were definitely considering greenfield sites away from the town, and the advantages would have been you could start from afresh and build everything perfectly and take whatever space you needed. But you sacrificed that walk-up crowd, the spur of the moment Friday, having a few drinks, maybe
That's
5, 6 o'clock.
Sure,
will we go?
That's a big thing in Galway, and I've always felt that Galway United have suffered in that regard, because Cherryland Park is not really walking distance if you're having a pint. It's more like 25 in a walk for most people in Galway, right. And lots of people in Galway like the cracking and the Friday night pints. It's too long, and it's a massive boon for the sports ground to there was talk of developing a ground in the Docklands as well, which could have been multi-purpose, but we are where we are now anyway.
Yeah, like I lived in Galway for a couple of years, and that was always a point of reference to go to a rugby match rather than a soccer match, and this is before the Connacht boom as such.
Yeah.
And as Johnny said, I actually lived in Terryland, and the crowds were sparse at the best of times. But
and did you go to Terryland when you lived near?
Like even living near Terryland, I'd be more inclined to go to the rugby matches because that's where everyone else was going. But okay. I was definitely like.
You're not from Dundalk, no?
I am, yeah.
It's not exactly
a well-travelled man. You're allowed to move counties.
Yeah, but it's not exactly a rugby stronghold. It should be, you know, be a Lily White's fan.
Can't be good at everything, Johnny.
No, but it's definitely been to the detriment. Even Galway United brought in a bar there like last season,
okay,
and that kind of helped. But we lost it this season, and we.
The bar is gone.
We did, and perhaps consequently we had quite a poor season on the pitch as well.
What kind of bar was it? Was it up there with the bar in Dalymount?
It was designed by Frank, the wedding planner.
That's not his name.
Well, whatever. I know him as Frank. Peter, right? He did an unbelievable job in a short space of time. Why does everyone call him Frank then? Frank is his like stage name.
His company name. Why would a wedding planner have a stage name?
He designed a fine bar in a short space of time, and it sold hooker. It sold Galway hooker. So you went to Cherryland for a hooker for one season. One season only.
I had at least thought his name was Frank.
Peter.
It's Frank, isn't it?
Peter.
No, I mean I thought it was Frank, and then he just said, "Okay, well, let's dress this up a little bit and make it Frank."
He did a brilliant job, but sadly, Galway United don't own the ground, so couldn't really like insist that the bar was there this season. Okay. But it was a great addition, and the away fans will come in, and there was
all
really
those kind of things help grounds.
Absolutely, you need. It annoys me at League of Ireland grounds that there's reluctance to like let people have a drink, even plastic. You know, it's like as if League of Ireland fans are kind of like scallywags that you can't trust, like, whereas everyone in the rugby game in the sports ground, a lot of them were just having beers, and it added to the experience.
Do you still call it Terryland Park, or has the
I do actually, yeah. Like I was just kind of tradition with me, I suppose, Ronan, but it's officially MDC Park, but I'd still call it kind of Terryland just for force of habit.
Well, it seems the sports ground naming rights are up for sale. That's going to be
sense,
a commercial reality here. They got to raise 30 million. A good degree of it will be publicly funded, but there'll be private money needed. Naming rights, that's just the way the world's going.
It's called the Sports Ground, though. It's not like it's some, like, you know, amazingly kind of profound name honouring someone who's dead or whatever.
It's the Sports Ground because it has multiple sports there.
Well, it kind of works as a naming rights as well, as in you can call it whatever the title sponsor is, Sports Ground. The whatever Sports Ground.
The Joe Molloy Sports Ground.
The Joe Molloy Sports Ground, if I want to invest in.
Joe Molloy Memorial Sports Ground.
Oh, dear. What is the Dalymount pub like? Were you saying that?
It's got we've got 3 bars underneath the Jody. We've got craft beers.
The Bohemian Ale is. I tried it after the Cup semi-final.
Other ales are available.
Yeah, it's beautifully smooth for a pale ale. It was really, really nice, and a low enough percentage as well, so you can kind of suppose, remember the game.
And sorry, is this like an indoor bar like the Shamrock Rovers one, or is this an outdoor one? It's an indoor one you can go into.
Yeah.
Okay. And anyone can just wander in. You don't have to be a ticket holder, season ticket holder, or anything.
On any one.
Yeah, you're better off if you're going to the match, though, obviously, Joe.
I still don't think there's any ground in the League of Ireland where you can bring out like a plastic beer and
you're
watch
not allowed
the
bring
game.
it out to the game.
Right.
I think that
But you can in rugby. Why? So I don't know. I don't get it.
Is there a sense that, well, there's a legacy of...
It's a class issue.
There's something implied there, yeah.
Yeah,
class
I would
issue.
think so.
It's a class issue.
I would think so.
I don't care. I'm
You
profound.
can't trust working class people with drink, Joe.
Yeah.
What kind of crazy carry on with that?
Is this a big bugbearer for League of Ireland fans? Is it something that they raise?
I don't care either
annoying,
way. I don't care either way, to be honest. I think...
Can you not go 45 minutes without a drink? No?
There's a large swathe of fans who don't go out for the second half. You know, and I know a lot of them.
Well, that happens in the rugby as well.
You are one of them.
Yeah, I'm not, actually. But actually, we spoke about the Belfast experience last night in the Oval. They show the game on closed circuit TV in the bar, and a hell of a lot of fans just don't leave
Oh,
the
yeah,
bar.
you're asking for trouble doing that.
Yeah.
Asking for trouble doing that.
But it's a revenue maker, you know. Granted, they're not out, but at least they're spending money.
That's true. They bought the tickets, now they're buying drink.
Absolutely.
Keep the game on. You're sacrificing the atmosphere, though.
You are, yeah. You are.
We have Alan Smith on the football show. Here's his book here, Heads Up, Alan Smith. Arsenal legend, 2-time Golden Boot winner.
Yeah.
Which I didn't realise. And he says in the book he meets a lot of people who have no idea he was a 2-time Golden Boot winner. He was incredibly modest, never did interviews. His agent was often on at him, he says in the book, to do an interview. Like, he tells a story about how when he won the Golden Boot for the second time in 1991, he was just flicking through magazines over the summer, and Nike had taken out a big ad in one of the magazines. You know, that Ian Rush was their guy. So they were like, you know, can Ian Rush beat Alan Smith to the Golden Boot next season? And that big Nike tick. And Alan was like, yeah, no, I get that. Except I'm also sponsored by Nike.
Unbelievable.
I am also Nike's man, and they're ignoring me, and I've just won the Golden Boot for a second time.
They were simpler times. They really were, weren't they?
The great fact from the book, I would say, is that Alan Smith bought his first house from estate agent Jeff Shreves, who was running his own estate agency business. I mean, how perfect.
The Jeff Shreves.
The Jeff
Shreves.
Shreves.
Wow.
Whose business went sort of belly up, but Jeff, very resilient character, went on to forge a great career with Sky Sports. They became great friends. He is goddaughter to Alan Smith's daughter.
Well done, Jeff.
Well done,
The
Jeff.
world's a mad place, isn't it?
Where could we end up, you know, if our careers go belly up in the old journalism game? You never know. We could be selling houses or something.
Well, no harm.
Growth industry.
His career was quite interesting.
Only further downwards for me, to be fair.
Was he pre-Premier League?
He retired in 95 quite suddenly, had an injury. But you'd be forgiven for just feeling he was pre-Premier League, because he wins the Golden Boot in 91. Ian Wright arrives that summer from Crystal Palace. And Smith, over the next 3 years, goes from Golden Boot winner literally to 3 goals, and then 2 goals. He went off a cliff. He could not play with Ian Wright.
But like Wright ended up being the main funnel for goals. Like, if I remember correctly, Wright was the top goal scorer in 92.
Yeah.
This season they didn't win the league. That was the year Leeds won the league. He got like 29 goals.
Yeah.
So that kind of tag of boring Arsenal was actually kind of nonsense. But if it wasn't nonsense, it was just the fact that only one goal scorer could actually get the goals.
Yeah, but I mean, literally they had the Golden Boot winner from the previous year in the team, who managed 3 goals that year. And because he just said Ian Wright was, he meant it in a nice way, a nightmare to play with. Because Wright came in and, you know, George Graham was quite, they were drilled, so everything was kind of choreographed, and well, when Lee Dixon has the ball, we all know what's going to happen, and the chess pieces will move accordingly. Ian Wright, they gave up after 2 months trying to teach him stuff. He was
Off
just
the cuff,
instinct.
like.
So Smith was saying he had that horrible experience of Dixon has the ball, he knows where he's meant to go, he thinks it's all working nicely, and then Tasmanian Devil swoops in, runs like right in front of him.
Well, that's because he's playing purely, because Wright famously came to the game quite late. So he didn't have the same upbringing through like Leicester and junior clubs that Smith would have had, or that, you know, at Stoke, that Lee Dixon, etc. would have had. Like, he was a latecomer, late bloomer Palace, and then they brought him on in his early 20s to Arsenal.
Did you see that little feature with his old teacher there on Twitter last week? It was like,
Oh yeah.
Teachers Week or something. I was just expressing, like, you know, fondness for teachers, and he had this teacher who had a profound influence on his life, and he thought he was passed away. And the teacher comes up to him in the ground one day, like, you know, quite recently, and Wright is completely overcome with emotion, because I think he might have had a slightly troubled background, and this teacher really put a lot of faith in him and told him to be what he could be on the football pitch. It was actually very moving.
This says it all. The piece is about Alan Smith, we've ended up talking about Ian Wright.
I know, it's terrible.
Man's modesty.
It's terrible. And to the point where his agent was like, will you do an interview? And even George Graham was like, you're the Arsenal number 9, take the penalties. you get more golden boots. It's an easy 6 goals a season. He was like, I don't like penalties.
You could hear the collective sigh from England in the game against Sweden at Euro 92 when he's brought on for Gary Lineker. Lineker famously going to equal or better Bobby Charlton's goal scoring record. They bring on Smith trying to chase the game, and you can almost hear people slumping back in their couches in England going, oh, for God's sake, Alan Smith. He's just been like golden boot twice.
Yeah.
Beating Lineker.
Lineker and Smith were strike partners at Leicester, and they did play beautifully. As Lineker says, we're both intelligent. We can figure this out. You know, that's what Lineker had said to him at the time.
At least he brought out his book after his career rather than in the middle of it.
Well, that's true. That's never a good move. Lineker's application and training, didn't like training, and his warm-up routine pre-match, this is mad, right?
Go on.
Would just pour a bath of really hot water, but just up 5-6 inches, so basically halfway up his shin. This is his pre-match routine.
But once you get in, it's up over your bits.
What?
5-6 inches.
No, it's just
debate,
off the ground. So it's barely, he's not sitting in it. He's standing in it.
Standing in the bath. All right, Grant. He's sitting in it.
Don't say
I
bits.
don't know where you were going with that.
There's no need to talk about bits on the radio just yet.
5-6 inches.
Giblets.
He would stand there and just do his stretches in the hot water. It's like stretch his groin, thigh, just go through his little routine.
Go away and slip that.
I don't know why he's doing that. And then,
What was the relevance of the hot water?
I don't know.
You don't have a good
And then he would
quality
head
bath,
out. He wouldn't go out beforehand and kick a few balls into the net or whatever.
His boots on afterwards.
He would never leave the dressing room before kick-off.
He dries feet before putting on socks.
He would get out, dry his feet, out he'd go. And that was his routine.
It's actually staggering how the professional players, up until even the mid-90s, actually behaved in the top league.
They were odd creatures altogether, aren't they?
Utterly insane.
Even Smith said there's no science behind it. He just liked doing it.
Psychologically.
I don't know. Frank is called after Frank, after the wedding planner in Steve Martin movie Father of the Bride. That's where he took it from.
But he's still called Peter.
Wasn't that Martin Short's character name in Father of the Bride to somebody else? Also, I hate naming rights. Forever Lansdowne Road to me. John.
Absolutely. I'm with there's no need whatsoever to call it that. It's still Lansdowne Road.
You're not being a bit hipster by calling it Lansdowne Road, a bit
Debt to pay
difficult.
off by 2020.
Do you know what annoys me?
Just call it by the name that it is.
Do you know what really annoys
You're
me?
not better than a
3-hour show.
We're going to the Aviva. We're going to the Aviva. We're not going to an insurance shop. We're going to a stadium. The Aviva. It's not the Aviva.
I think people know what you mean. It is the Aviva.
It's the Aviva Stadium or Lansdowne Road. It's not the Aviva. It's not like the CIYMS or come up with some crap name of an insurance thing. It's still Lansdowne Road.
So would you ever say I'm going to Lansdowne?
Absolutely. I'm going to Lansdowne Road.
Would you ever say I'm going to Lansdowne?
Lansdowne Road. Although Lansdowne was the rugby club, so it's kind of okay.
So you've less of a problem abbreviating Lansdowne Road than Aviva?
I find it, considering the history of the stadium for all those years, that we're in this little brief window where it's named after an insurance giant. I'm not going to be beholden to that.
Oh.
You know, but the sports ground, on the other hand, doesn't really have any resonance. And if they need the money, grand.
That's insurance shop Aviva told.
Yeah.
Bowes Ale bitter after the replay, says Tom. That's for you, Richie.
You're barred, but Tom.
So, Alan Smith's on the football show coming up, and we got a packed show. Lots of rugby in the middle hour, given the Champions Cup opening weekend. And Richie, as we start our news round, with thanks to Screwfix.ie, championing the trade with a choice of over 20,000 quality trade products. Good news on the Conor Murray front.
Yeah, Conor Murray says he's looking forward to making more lifelong memories with Munster and Ireland. The scrum half today signed a new contract, tying him with the province and indeed Ireland, of course, until 2022. Murray's yet to play this season as he continues to recover from a neck injury. When he does return, the 29-year-old will be looking to add to his 67 caps for Ireland and his 116 appearances for Munster. Elsewhere, a lawyer acting on behalf of Cristiano Ronaldo says the allegation that the Juventus forward raped a woman in 2009 is a complete fabrication. Las Vegas-based lawyer Peter Christensen issued a statement via Jorge Mendes' site this evening. The woman in question filed a civil suit against Ronaldo late last month, seeking to void a supposed confidentiality agreement between her and Ronaldo. But Mr. Christensen says in that statement the documents that allegedly contain statements by Mr. Ronaldo and that were reproduced by the media are pure inventions. Cristiano Ronaldo does not deny that he agreed to enter into a settlement, but the reasons that led him to do so are being distorted. The settlement is by no means a confession of guilt. Christensen says the woman in question and Ronaldo had a consensual encounter on the night in question in 2009.
Gareth Bale
is 50-50 to play in Wales' Nations League meeting with Ireland on Tuesday. The Real Madrid forward has been ruled out of tomorrow night's friendly with Spain due to a groin injury. Bale hasn't trained at all this week, but his manager Ryan Giggs remains hopeful that he can be fit for the game at the Aviva.
Disappointing for him, obviously playing in Spain. You know, he would ideally wanted to be a part of this game, but first and foremost, it's getting Gareth right, and yeah, we're just monitoring it daily to see see how he is for Tuesday. Yeah, we're giving it every chance, but we're preparing for if he isn't available and if he is available. So, like I say, over the next couple of days we'll have to make a decision, and but hopefully he is fit.
Well, hopefully he's not, frankly. Rowan just asked you there if you still call the point the point.
No, because that's changed from the 0-2 to the 3, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Like they don't call the Lewis stop the 3, do they? They call it the point, like. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. It's the point village, it's serving everything around the area.
Do you know what's an interesting one? Will GA, and they probably will the GA ever sell naming rights?
They have. Half the country, half the grounds around the country are sold. Elvery's McHale Park and all this stuff.
I'm an idiot.
Lennon Brothers Pierce Park.
I'm an idiot.
Kingspan, Breffin.
Oh, that ship has sailed on GA
Park Sean
grounds.
McDermott, they got one as well recently in Leitrim.
Yeah. I mentioned him last night, of course.
It's all over the place, Sean McDermott.
God almighty, yeah. I'm having a slow day today.
Question for Johnny, Richie and Ronan. On the Jeff Shreve's career change, what would each of you have been if you weren't high-paid journalist? I'm not addressing the question at Joe. I know he'd be a history teacher, says Denny. That's a true story, though.
Unemployed.
Probably true. Johnny?
Thinking of Peter Crouch's answer, would have to come up with something.
No way this profession.
Because being a journalist really attracts them.
I'd probably...
There's a queue at the door, Joe.
I think I might be a teacher.
Snapped, good.
I was going to say teacher too, yeah.
3 teachers.
What do you mean snap?
I was going to be a teacher too.
They were just pegging you as being a boring sort.
No, I know that. But I mean, we've 3 teachers and 1 person who's unemployed.
Unemployable.
Unemployable.
What's your general take on the standard of teachers as you went through? Like, because there are a lot of characters out there, you know, and they do have a profound influence on you.
Did you set up the ratemyteacher.com website?
I didn't, but I had 7 different English teachers in secondary school alone, and at least 2 or 3 of them were profoundly influential in terms of me becoming a journalist, because they really got me into English. And if they hadn't been there, I don't know where I would have gone. Like, they do really have a massive influence on where you go.
A lot of time to blame.
I give Aileen Walsh an honourable mention, but by the time you get to Leaving Cert, a lot of us don't know what we want to do in life. You know, the CEO form, whatever. We're like, we're just looking for points, and we're not really sure if the course actually suits us.
We didn't all do arts degrees, did we?
I didn't.
I did marketing, Joe.
Oh, really?
Unemployable.
Okay.
I did journalism.
Arts degree. You did journalism.
Yeah,
Well,
4 years.
Silly move.
Could have done it in 4 weeks.
You did arts in Galway.
I did.
Yeah, that's exactly.
That's what you go to Galway for, Joe.
Yeah, no, I know that.
It's always a great city.
That's what it's all about, Johnny.
It's a mix, Johnny, isn't it? It's like any profession. Lots of great people, few chancers in there, of course, and then a bulk of average.
And they have to put up with a lot of grief from students.
It's a
from
tough
my
gig.
experience.
It's a tough gig. So, sorry, where are we going next?
Shawnee McGuire says he's fully fit to face Denmark on Saturday. The Preston strikers played just 15 minutes this season following a lengthy spell out with 2 separate hamstring issues. Martin O'Neill hinted yesterday that McGuire would be limited to cameos this week, but McGuire himself feels he doesn't need to be eased back into action.
I feel that I'm mentally strong, having 2 serious hamstring injuries. Other players will probably find themselves, weak mentally, but as I said there, I was only meant to be out for about 8 weeks, and I think the last couple of weeks was just about making sure it's 100% right this time, and making sure it don't happen again. Yeah, well, it's my own body at the end of the day. I gotta just keep talking with the sports scientists here, physios here, and just, as I said, monitor day by day and keep in touch with Preston as well, because obviously you don't want to break down again.
The Republic of Ireland under-19's got their European Championship qualifying campaign off to a winning start this afternoon. Goals from Will Ferry, Adam Ida and a penalty from Troy Parrott helped Tom Mohan's side to a 3-1 win over Bosnia-Herzegovina. That was at City Calling Stadium, Johnny, in Longford. That's where the Group 10 action is being concentrated this week, with Bosnia, as I say, up against Ireland. Netherlands, Faroes do the game there, and the Faroes is the next opponents for Ireland come Saturday afternoon.
Do you remember the original name?
The Flancero.
Do you remember it before Flanker Park?
God, you got me there now.
It's based on the geography, just the road it's on. Strokestown Road.
Strokestown.
To be fair to City Calling, though, like the guy from City Calling put so much money into Longford, I think he deserves to get it called after him, after his business.
Phil Murphy on Twitter, lads, when St James's Gate were in the League of Ireland back in the 90s, at the Ivy Grounds you could watch the game from the balcony of the bar, which he was a big fan of.
Like a kind of pavilion in cricket.
Exactly.
Sweet.
After reading Gary Lineker's pre-match routine in Roy the Rovers, lads, I adapted a pre-match soak that I've stuck to for over 25 years. Has served me well. I'm still playing over 35s now. Idea is it relaxes and warms up the muscles for the game ahead, Alan in Castleknock. I totally accept the full body soak in hot water to warm up the muscles and relax the body. Gary Lineker stood up. It barely went above his ankles. He just had really hot feet. Not many muscles there.
Never used though.
Huh?
He's buried inside the 6-yard box and did shag all else. So all he needs is good feet.
How do you rate him as a broadcaster, Joe, being the...
Oh, good. Very good. Gary.
He's very, very easy, isn't he?
Yeah.
Very natural and easy.
He's no Tommy Martin, in fairness, though.
He's no Tommy Martin.
Gary had the luxury of the perfect fast tracking. I mean, when Des Lynam was finishing up in the final few years in Match of the Day, they let Gary go in afterwards and host the show, just as a dud run, with all the crew, all the pundits there. I mean, like, perfect training ground.
Never knew that.
Yeah.
He was very awkward to begin with, though. You look back on him being like a pundit and starting off doing Match of the Day in Football Focus, and he was, not the Gary.
I can't remember.
Smooth Gary we see now.
I can't remember him as a pundit. Really, I've seen a few clips, but I don't remember him. Dole, I would have thought.
They tried him on co-coms while he was in his latter days at Spurs as well, and while he was in injured toe territory with Nagoya Grampus 8, and he was pretty poor.
Yeah,
Match of the Day's generally been pretty tame throughout the years in terms of punditry. I think
it's never explosive, really, is it?
Kevin Kilbane is definitely helping. I think.
You don't have to praise him; he's not here.
In fairness, he's quite good. But a lot of the English pundits, like, they're just too safe.
They still have mates in the game, and that's what they're afraid of.
Yeah.
I tend to get shot down for saying I'm a big fan of Danny Murphy. I struggle to find people who agree.
He's okay. He's okay, like, yeah.
I think he's good. I'd always be curious.
I don't hate him with the same vitriol that other people seem to.
I always want to know what he thinks about a game afterwards. Who are their stock ones? Shearer's always on.
Shearer.
Jermaine Genius for quite a bit now.
Yeah. Shearer, Jermaine Genius. Ian Wright's often on with Shearer. Not Alan Smith.
Yeah.
Smith's done all right.
That's true. Smith's worked on Sky for 20 years.
The pre-Premier League thing is interesting because a lot of people now know him. He doesn't get the Premier League retrot treatment where Premier League years and that kind of thing. So most people know him as the FIFA commentator.
I was just going to say,
Premier League commentator.
He says he's most known now for FIFA of all bloody things. Yeah. So he'll be over in China and people won't recognise him at all. They'll hear his voice and they'll say FIFA, and he'll be like, it's the reach of it is incredible.
The world is mad.
He goes away for 12 days. He said they bring you, EA Sports bring you away, him and Martin Tyler, and they have to ad-lib all the lines.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't get.
I thought it would be a script.
They don't get scripts anymore now.
No. So they just play around for 12 days with throwing lines at each other.
Because it's slightly more natural, maybe, or whatever.
Exactly, yeah. As opposed to, can you read?
It used to be very contrived. Like
super pass from Ronaldo.
They've come a long way, the commentaries. Like, I remember the Joe Montana Sports Talk Football, where basically all you did was you did like a fake field goal for every single play, and every single time the commentator was like, unbelievable, on first down, and it was like every single play. I can't believe it. But it's a little bit better now.
FIFA's the only reason I know Alan Smith, lads, says Enda. Well, tune in after 9, he's in very good form.
Is that Enda outside?
I don't think so, but I mean, it's entirely possible.
Yeah, because he's 12 anyway.
Phelan Moran, been going to Lansdowne since 1973. I will never call it the Poxy Aviva.
Just heard him bang the desk as well. It's quite incredible.
Call it Aviva Stadium, not the Poxy Aviva. What was the story about Gaza bathing in roasting water before a game to the point that he was red raw for the first half hour of a game?
I've heard that, yeah.
That rings, that's jogging the memory of some kind.
He'd picked up, I think, on Lineker's cue that he had essentially done his feet, and Gaza was like, right, well, if he's going to do his feet, I'm going to do my whole body. So he got into
for twice as long.
Yeah, he got into
boiling water.
Just think how warmed up I'll be.
Yeah, he got into a bath of scalding water. Went out in the pitch red raw.
Not his best move. Tune in next week for Off the Ball's guide to filling out your CAO, says Kevin. Could be a good show.
Don't picture it.
Give some advice. Where are we going next?
The schedule will be slightly less hectic for sides in next year's Leinster Hurling Championship. The round robin section has been extended from 5 to 6 weeks, meaning all sides will have 2 break weeks in essence. In this year's edition of the round robin, Wexford and Offaly both had to play on 4 consecutive weekends. A hell of a story from Belgium. Some of their biggest clubs today are at the centre of a major police investigation amid allegations of match fixing and financial fraud. Club Brugge head coach Ivan Lecco and Herman van Holsbeek, a former official from Champions Anderlecht, have been questioned by police today. The Federal Prosecutor's Office says a year-long probe has thrown up evidence of suspect financial operations by agents and also indications of possible influencing over games over the season. Referees, agents and officials from Standard Liège, Lokeren and Racing Genk, amongst others, are among those to be raided. The investigation has so far encompassed 57 searches in 13 different countries. Okay, that is your news round for this evening. We're going to talk to Stephen Kenny next, Johnny. Why are we talking to Stephen Kenny?
Because Dundalk are the champions again, but They'll want to end the season by beating Cork in the cup final and not losing to them like they did last year, because they've been by far the best team, and he's one of the finest ambassadors for football in this country, I think.
4 and 5 years is remarkable, isn't it? And he keeps losing his best. He loses his best players almost as a matter of course every off-season.
And doing it with style and class, and not falling into the rubbish of taking on other managers in interviews or anything like that, just focusing on his own players. And in 2016, what he did for Irish football with the way Dundalk played in the Europa League, I think should never be underestimated.
A hero in Dundalk.
Yeah, almost the highlight of the other day was, far from wrapping up the title, was Michael Duffy signing on for another couple of years.
Yeah.
You know, as you said, normally it's just resignation that,
who do we lose?
Yeah, exactly. So at least we have that secured for the next couple of seasons at least.
Okay, we'll talk to him in just a moment. And tomorrow, of course, big show, University Concert Hall in Limerick. It's completely sold out. Ronan O'Gara is the guest of honour, as I'm sure you've heard at this stage, all in association with Heineken Rugby Club. Brian O'Driscoll there as well, Keith Wood, Nathan Murphy heading down. It has been sold out for weeks. Very last pair. This is the very last pair of VIP tickets to give away. We'll do it this evening. You get the best seats in the house and a meet and greet with all the lads as well. To be in with a chance of winning, just identify our Champions Cup mystery voice who says he regrets the time he made fun of Dave McIntyre's pride and joy. That's his left and right biceps.
It was a very childish thing to do.
Dave didn't take it well.
It was a very childish thing to do.
Text your name and answer to 53106 for 30 cents. We'll announce the winner later on in the show. Bear in mind, this is an over 18s event. Visit drinkaware.ie, the latest Off the Ball Road show in association with Heineken Rugby Club. Rory O'Connor from the Irish Independent and Matt Williams are on the way after 8. And as mentioned, Stephen Kenny is next.
Off the Ball on News Talk.
Thanks to Screwfix.ie, championing the trade with a choice of over 20,000 quality trade products.
Every Friday on the Moncrief Show, we do movies and we do booze. This week we'll be sampling some delectable wines, as well as looking at what's new on the big screen, including Rosie and First Man.
Neil, if this flight is successful, you'll go down in history. What kind of thoughts do you have about that?
We're planning on the flight being successful.
Sure, what else would you want on a Friday?
Movies and booze on Moncrief.
Brought to you by Lidl's award-winning wine range.
This and every Friday on News Talk.
O is for October and for other. Those other mobile phone stores that can't match the awesome deals this October at Carphone Warehouse. Get a free Samsung S9 with a free Samsung Tab A 10.1, all when you switch to Vodafone, Ireland's #1 network, but only with Carphone Warehouse. Not to mention all the other brilliant offers and expert advice from the home of the networks. Any network, any phone, any plan. Only Carphone Warehouse. T's and C's apply. Offer subject to a 24-month contract.
October 26th is polling day. On that day, you will be asked to vote on a change to our constitution. The question is about whether or not we remove the wording that requires blasphemy to be a criminal offence. To get all the facts from a clear and independent source before you make up your mind, go to refcom.ie. Everything your vote means is explained there. Because on October 26th, your vote means everything. Brought to you by the Referendum Commission.
Better luck next time, Brian. Funny old game, golf. Now,